Hello, Reds from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us here on this, whatever day of the week it is. I can never remember because we're all in lockdown and we're all absolutely miserable. But you know who are more miserable than us? Chelsea, Arsenal, who else? Everton drew. They're kind of miserable.
Spurs.
City won. Leicester, Spurs are more miserable. They drew. City beat Leicester, so they're happy. But Leicester are more miserable. So, you know, misery loves company. And we're doing better than them. So life is less than terrible. But it could be better. It could always be better. So thanks wherever you're joining in the world. Please get in the comments. Please share the love. Evening, Jamie. Always great to have you here, my friend. Thank you so much. We've a newbie, kind of newbie, silver medalist. I was saying he's been here for the second time now. Simon just below me. And that's right. I did say Simon belows me. And Simon is an Irishman based in Canada. And we're going to clip that and you can have that forever. We are previewing Man United's upcoming game on Thursday in Callum's favourite tournament, which is, of course, the Europa League. And discussing it should just be a kind of a walkover. We really should think that. We should. Well, obviously, we're hoping the team go in with knowing they'll have a tough game, blah, 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 blah. But we destroyed Sociedad. Sociedad are a better team than Granada. I was just looking at it, and Granada's star player is Roberto Soldado, which is exceptional. Like, I do love when these random ex-Premier League players come back, but they do tend to haunt us. Look at Dembaba for a couple of months ago. And so let's hope it doesn't turn out like that. But my favorite thing about Soldado is I think they bought him for 35 million from the Gareth Bale money. He scored twice in a season, and both were penalties. So I think he missed one or two as well. So that's a nice little Soldado fact. But yeah, get your thoughts in the comments coming in. Who do we have already? We have John. I would say Jamie already. John, great to have you back. Looking forward to the show. Looking forward to having you here as well. And yes, Strip Bear. That's a new one. Yes, Champions League. Oops, wait. Europa. Yeah. Look, it's better than no tournament. We're still in it to win it. And this is the game we should be winning relatively handily. So internet permitting, we're going to go to Mark Biggs now, who's going to big up Granada or big up United, whichever one he chooses, we'll go for it. And I don't know who this is. Declan. Hi, mate. Hi to you too. So, Mark, how are you feeling about this game coming up on Thursday?
Declan Rice.
No, it's not Declan Rice.
It's Declan Rice, isn't it?
It is.
No.
It is exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ha. Okay. Fuck Declan Rice, and now we can continue on. And Simon's going to agree with me on that when it gets to him too. Okay. But for the moment, let's just focus on no one's Rice. Let's just look forward to a bit of Granada, which was once a television company in England many moons ago. One believes, and apparently he's going to win 2-0. Whoever the chap is, good for you. So, Mark, what are you expecting from the game on Thursday? Should this be kind of an easy passage? It is basically the easiest draw we could have got.
I think it's probably one of the best draws we could have got, but it's not going to be an easy passage by any means. I think Ollie will have his eyes on the next game against Spurs. Obviously a big game, one that we need to win. But I think, it'll probably... Granada are sitting in 9th. Their form isn't particularly good. I think they've lost 3 and won 2 in the last 5, and they haven't won either of their last 2. So, we've just come off the back of a win. I know it's a little bit sluggish. Took us 45 minutes to get into it again, but I think that would have hopefully lifted our spirits a little bit. It's not going to be an easy game. None of these ties are, and going on track record, our form against Spanish opposition, doesn't matter who they are, we seem to struggle one way or another for whatever reason. So it's there's something to look out for. But if we can come away with a win, then great. But no, it's not going to be straightforward.
Okay. A comment here from Strip Bear. Great name. Remember when Chelsea looked like they wanted De Rice and everyone said he's mince, second United want him, he's brilliant, lol, strange chat. I want to put on record, I never said he was great. I always said, and it's on record across the years, I said he's a bit of a bollocks. So constantly been saying it, but thanks very much, Strip Bear, for your comments. But not true for me anyway. Stu, coming to you now, my man. Yeah, Jamie said it. Let's all be scared of Roberto Soldado. Are you? Well, Soldado. I think you've gone for there, Jamie, but I respect the effort. Are you afraid of Roberto Soldado?
No. I kind of a little bit with Mark, really. I think it won't be that much of an easy game as perhaps we all think. I think they beat Napoli at their place, didn't they, earlier on in the competition 2-0. Had a good result against Barcelona, although they only got beat 5-3. And obviously Valencia turned them over, I think, at the weekend 3-0. I would expect us to go out there and win. They play a very similar system to us, actually. And I think Soldado, Molina, they're probably their danger players. I think they've both got about 11 goals each or something along those lines. So I would just put a note of caution on. And I think Mark's right. Ollie will probably have one eye on Sunday's game because he's really going to want to get one over Mourinho. I'd like to see us go in and win 2 or 3-0 and potentially, finish the tie on Thursday. Well, it depends how we approach the game. Whether Ollie approaches it, which I hope he won't, with two CDMs. I thought we were a bit more fluid against Brighton on Sunday, although we did start slower. It was better without having the two holding players. I would like to see Donny get a start. I don't think Donny touched the ball when he come on at all, actually, on Sunday. But his intelligence and his play, and not many people picked up, by the way. If Greenwood hadn't popped it in, I think Donny would have buried it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think in that movement as well, Stu, you can see how good Donny is, because there was like two occasions where he pulled centre back out of position. His movement, like you said, to get into that position just behind Greenwood, that he would have put it in. So he did have an influence, even if he wasn't, as much as we'd like.
There's times in matches where standing still can have an influence on a game, stupid as that sounds.
Yeah, true.
And Donny, as I say, didn't touch the ball. We did have an influence. So I'd expect Tellers to play, perhaps. Obviously, Bailly has got COVID, so he's going to have to go with. He's either going to have to start with Tuanzebe or he's going to have to start with Lindelof and Maguire.
Yeah.
Kind of expect De Gea to come in goal. I hope we touch on De Gea actually a bit later, because
we will.
All the bollocks that's been written about that is just terrible. And so I think providing we go with an attitude that we want to win and seal the tie in the first match, then that would be great. But it just air of caution. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. As Stuart said, let's go out all guns blazing. We're definitely winning this, and we'll somehow win the Champions League after winning this game. I love Jamie tried to fix this here. He said, let's all be scared of Roberto Soldado. And then he went, it must have been his twin. I'm like, Jamie, that's not the best out to get out of that. I don't know any twins. My mom's a twin, and they don't share the same first name and then change their second name. But I appreciate the effort you're putting in there to try and make that work, and effort is always appreciated. Jacob, thanks for joining us in the comments with the oi oi, and got your Dortmund flag out. Yeah, if anyone, I don't know, we'll be done here by the time it kicks off. Maybe the first 10 minutes or so. So keep us up to date with goals if they go in. Kind of just more so if Dortmund score, please. But Simon, a fellow countryman of mine, whereabouts are you from actually? You're from Munster.
Ashburn.
No, Meath.
Ashburn County, Meath, yeah.
I heard a bit of Dublin, from Meath. Simon. So Ollie is coming up against a team that knocked out his precious Molde. Is there rage in his eyes? Is Ollie going to try steamroll this now with some sort of revenge in Taken style? Or
I doubt it. I think he'll try to be business-like as usual. I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be a tight game, simply because we're not playing at a level that allows us at the moment to steamroller any team. I'm not sure we'd steamroller any team in the championship at the moment. We're playing at a very workmanlike level. We're just getting through games. We have the quality to do it, but I don't expect fireworks. I think it'll be a pretty tight game, and maybe a 2-1 win again.
That's depressing. I don't like this thought out, coherent arguments that are coming over. Callum, can you just be wild and just say 8-0 and say somehow De Gea is getting a hat-trick and just lose it for a second? I need something to clip.
I mean, usually I'm the pessimistic one, but I actually do think we'll we'll have them, to be honest. I think
Yes.
the 4-0 win, the 4-point gap that we've got over Leicester now sort of gives us that little bit of leeway now. You know, if we want to progress to the next round of the Europa League, why don't we just go do to Granada what we did to Sociedad and just go beat them 3-4-0, put the tie to bed. And then we've got that little bit of room in second place now and that bit of leeway for the top 4. So why not go all out in this fixture and try and get to the semi-final of the Europa League? I think we probably will do that, and I think we'll probably try and get a 3-4-0 win. Do that like we did against Sociedad, and then we'll be breezy. And who was it, Roma or Ajax in the semi-final? Like, there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't do that. Top goal scorers, Soldado on 6 goals, the 9th in the league. There's absolutely nothing special that I can see of them that really we should be threatened by, and United have got the quality to get past them with no problems. I say that, obviously we know how unpredictable we can be, but I don't really believe there's a reason why they should trouble us in any way, and we should just get past them no problem. Get the away goals in as well, that's even better.
Yep, that's exactly what I was after, Callum. Thanks for bringing that in. We have that clipped, and we're going to send it out. We're hammering them 8-0 De Gea with a hat-trick. And speaking of De Gea, as you said, Callum, there, we've kind of seen a switch, seemingly, that happened. We don't really know. There's rumours going around that instigate it, but it seems that Henderson has become our first choice over the last couple of weeks, ever since De Gea's missus gave birth. Congratulations to them and their child, of course. So to kind of confirm that, do you think De Gea will be starting on Thursday? Or I'm actually on to Mark, Callum. I'll finish it.
Yeah.
But thanks. That's why I love your enthusiasm. So Mark, going to you on this.
Yeah, I was going to mention this next, actually, so I'm glad you alluded to that. I think the roles have reversed now, haven't they? We were calling this, well, I certainly was calling this weeks ago. Reading some of the comments recently and things that come out through the Athletic, I think obviously David De Gea probably will be off. Henderson has done a great job in the meantime, really, been very commanding. So I think it's now roles reversed, and I think David De Gea will probably start. Yeah. And rightly so. I think that, I've said this many times. I think Connor said this brilliantly before, is he sort of gives our defenders a lot more stability, a lot more commanding. So, yeah, I think that it was only a matter of time. We signed a new contract, a lot of money in the summer. We know how good he was at Sheffield United, and I think that it was only a matter of time. And I think that, you can't really fault him for the last few games that he's played. And I think that probably means that David De Gea will start on Thursday.
Oh, interesting. And so you think the switch has happened then?
Yeah, I do.
Can you pick a point where you think it's happened?
Well, I think, a couple of games before David De Gea obviously went and had the birth of his child. I think that there was a lot of talk about how well Henderson had done whenever he had stepped in for the Europa League games and anything in between. And then obviously that was a perfect opportunity for him to step in for how many games it's been since David De Gea has been out. And I can't really fault him, to be honest. I think that, there's still a lot for him to learn. He's still young, really, for a keeper, especially. And as I said, I think he's far more commanding. And, I think it's written that at the end of the season, either David De Gea is going to leave or, Henderson's going to firmly be number one by then. So I think it's been several weeks coming, but I think that before he went to the birth of his child, I think that was it, really.
I loved how you managed to say that twice differently. Both nearly saying that David De Gea gave birth to the child, and then kind of reversing that and managing to fix it right at the end. It was very skillfully done.
Thank you, Matt. You asked me a very simple question, which really probably only needed one line, but I thought I'd, spin it off in several different ways, and there you go. So
there you go. That's how it works. Yeah, it's like you're doing an English essay back in school. Yeah. Why say the end when you say hereby I conclude this message? Do you know? Got to get that word count up. Got to get it up. But yeah, no, we're Stuart, you just said you had a couple of comments to make on this very particular topic, so we'll come to you next on De Gea versus Henderson. Has the change happened? And actually, Mark, something you pointed out as well, he's quite young for a goalkeeper, but we also, the last Spanish #1 goalkeeper, I believe that there might have been a tiny bit of crossover before Casillas finally got rid of him, but Iker Casillas was about the same age, maybe a little bit older, maybe 32 or something like that, when he kind of just fell from where he should have been at Real Madrid, and then went to Porto, obviously, and then retired quite young as well. I think it was through injury, but he was like 36 or 37.
I think I've mentioned this before, and I think this also goes with goalkeepers as well. You know, David De Gea was a #1 for Atletico when he was 17, 18. When you see players like Wayne Rooney burst onto the scene at 16, 17, he fell off a cliff very quickly, suddenly, from about sort of 29, 30, 31. And I think that tends to happen when you burst onto the scene. I think your body is probably under a lot more strain earlier when it hasn't really fully developed, and therefore you probably come to a standstill a lot quicker, as before other players. So it doesn't always happen, but I think that's probably what's happened. And Casillas, again, he started very early. He was their #1 and was an absolute phenomenal keeper for many, many years. And then all of a sudden, 31, 32, he did fall off a cliff, and then that was that. So I think that's probably just what's happening to David De Gea. We've seen it for years. He's certainly going downhill, and it's very unfortunate. And but fortunately, we've got a great goalkeeper to be able to take that #1 spot.
Absolutely. I remember actually Casillas making his debut. Was in a Champions League final against Valencia. Cesar went off injured after like 20 minutes or half an hour, and that swap happened, and then he went on to have this most incredible career: World Cups, European Championships, Champions Leagues, everything. I think he was 18 or 19 when he made his debut. I think he was the only keeper ever to be subbed on, as of that time. Anyway, I don't know if that changed in the Champions League final, but some man. Yeah, Stuart, we're coming to you now on this very subject. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually think it's a little bit more simple, perhaps, than we're all thinking. I certainly don't agree with all the bollocks that's being spouted around in the press at the minute about Ollie and De Gea's relationship and some of the first team players turning against him. I think he made a decision in the summer, potentially, that this would be his last season, and it kind of, when you bring a goalkeeper back of Henderson's quality and give him a 6-year contract, I think it was 120 grand a week, something like a ridiculous rise in salary, he was always likely to take over in the summer coming. I think since the birth of his child, and his child being in Spain, and I'm speaking as a father, there's no way I'd want to be away from my newborn child. And I've just got a feeling that he's come back, potentially spoken to Ollie and said, look, I want to go in the summer. I need to be home. And I think it makes sense for Henderson to kind of take over from here. And the problem was always going to be sensationalism. I work in the media. I work in media sport, and I know how it works. And I know how you can twist or want to twist an article to make it readable. It's almost clickbait. And I think that's what's happening here. People saying he's on the decline, people saying the way he's been treated. I just think there's a little bit more to it. And as I say, as a father, I think if I was in his situation, the money that I've earned, I think it would be a natural decision for me to want to go back to Spain. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as that, though, because he is on, like, he's the most highly paid goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah, it isn't. But I think when, this time period for your child to be growing up, Callum's you're a Callum, aren't you? You're a dad, aren't you, Callum?
you're a Callum, aren't you, Dad?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh,
not that he knows of. Not that he knows.
No.
These early months of your child's development are quite critical, and I think if you're away from your child in a completely different country, and you don't have the ability to, hop the channel all the time, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. You are actually right about his salary and who would want to take him on. but I would think that it'll come to an agreement that's beneficial for him and the club. I could be wrong, but that would be my take on it.
Well, I would say I've never seen that happen where a player is given. I don't think so. Given leave, not like the highest level anyway. Given leave of like go ahead for a couple of games and be with your newborn family. Do you know that tends to not happen? But I suppose that tends to not have your family living.
I was going to say they tend to be in the same country, don't they?
Yeah.
So
he's in a very different circumstance, isn't he? You're absolutely right. I think there is a lot to it. I think that you're right that the media have probably misconstrued it quite a lot. I think Henderson's on even more than that. I think he's on almost 200,000 for 6 years. So I think that it was always inevitable, as you say, in the summer. So I think that this is just a very good opportunity. It's worked hand in hand. You've got to remember, we've talked about Ollie being a very good man manager. And the talks were when they signed the new contract that he was going to get his opportunity. And we've seen so far that Ollie has sort of stuck to his word, and he's not going to let that falter in any way. So that's probably exactly what's happened. I agree with you, Stu. I think a lot of points there are valid too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Simon, you've been a very polite young man in the corner there, waiting your turn. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, so I'm going to skip you. No, I'm only messing. I'm only messing. Simon, what are your thoughts on this will be the first time I've heard you speak on this matter anyway, so everyone with bated breath, go for it. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, to start with, I do think Henderson is the option going forward. I don't do we ever think De Gea is going to get back to his best? I don't think so. So do you want the De Gea of the next 3 or 4 years, or do you want the Henderson of the next 3 or 4 years? And I think the answer is simple. It has to be Henderson. That's not to say that Henderson will be De Gea levels of what De Gea was at his best, or a Neuer or anything like that. I don't think he will be, but it doesn't have to be for him to be a perfectly competent number one for United. So I think Henderson is the choice. As far as De Gea, where he goes, none of the big three in Spain need a goalkeeper of his caliber. Like, he's not better than Oblak, Ter Stegen, or Courtois at the moment. And to pay what they're going to have to pay him to get him in, I just don't see that happening this summer unless one of them was to lose one of those keepers, which doesn't look on the cards either. PSG or Juventus look more likely. Will his wife be more willing to live in one of those cities rather than Manchester? Probably. I don't. Obviously, it's their personal life is their personal life, but
ask Di Maria's wife.
Yeah. So I don't. I can't see him going back to Spain unless we heavily subsidize his wages and he goes on loan to somewhere like a Valencia or Sevilla. But even then, will they be able to give him a contract once they want to sign him permanently? If that's the idea, I'm not sure. I think he would have to take a serious pay cut to make that move back to Spain.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, because I can't, the whole thing about, there's no difference between Paris or Manchester or anything like that. He has to be in Spain, and there has to be a deal done already. Do you know?
I think there's a deal done, yeah. And I'm not really sure money will come into it so much. I really don't. He's earned 350 grand a week with us for 2 or 3 years. He was on 200 grand a week before that, wasn't he, for 5 or 6 years? I really don't think money will come into it. I take your point, Simon. I think you're right. The top 3 in Spain don't necessarily need a goalkeeper of his quality, but
we never know. We never know what changes are coming in that regard either. Because PSG are after a goalkeeper, Juventus are after a goalkeeper.
That's right.
Donnarumma mightn't be playing at AC Milan. They might want a goalkeeper. So there's going to be a merry-go-round going around fairly soon. So it'll be interesting. But Callum, you were going to speak first, but now you're speaking for it. What are your final thoughts on the situation?
Well, I think all the points have sort of been made. I mean, you don't offer Henderson a contract as big as it was if there was no natural progression for him to take the number 1 spot. I think there probably was sounders out already that, De Gea sort of thought maybe he's going to take my spot this season. Obviously, with the birth of his child as well, that's going to come into it. And I don't think money will come into it. I also think there will come a point in the summer where Oblak leaves Atletico. And I personally think De Gea probably will go back there. Obviously, that was his boyhood club. I think you're probably looking at instead Oblak going to maybe PSG or Chelsea maybe, and then De Gea going to Atletico, where he probably originally wants to go back to. The only issue that I do sometimes wonder is, and I saw the comment just then, you can't have Henderson for all four competitions next season. And the way Romero's sort of been sounded out and left alone and things like that, I feel like he'll be leaving in the summer too. So that's 2 goalkeepers, and that leaves our backup goalkeeper to be Lee Grant. And I don't even think he's ever played a senior game for us. So
no, he did.
Also, well, whether if he has, he's not played very often. So I think it leaves us short in the goalkeeper department. Whereas this season we've been stacked for it. Next season we won't be, and that leaves us having to go into the market. And we understand how bad our owners and recruitment has been over in the past about surrounding recruitment. So it brings another issue. I do probably think he'll leave, and I think if anything, De Gea's probably helped Henderson make that progression into his number 1 spot. Like Stu said, all the rubbish has been written. I think that was bound to happen, but I think we knew that was going to happen. When any kind of story can be written about Man United, it will be, because it sells stories. We see journalists on Twitter do that all the time, mentioning no names, but time. So it was always going to happen, and unfortunately, it always happens with Man United. It's just up to us to ignore them, because if we ignore them, they don't get the click. They get the income and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it was always going to happen, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And the fact that he's come from our academy is a huge plus. We've not had to spend a penny on a replacement goalkeeper, which we did when Van der Sar left, when he retired. So I think it's all pluses. I will say Henderson has made slight small errors, probably errors that you'd probably see just from a young goalkeeper, and they'll be ironed out just like they were with De Gea. So I think the future in the number 1 spot for our goalkeeping situation's bright, and I don't really have any issues with Henderson taking that spot.
Yeah, I would say I don't have any concerns about our goalkeeper situation going forward, mainly because Romero isn't our 3rd choice because he wanted to leave and we wouldn't let him go. So he's obviously his changed. He's been like, no, I want to actually play football. And then no one has a stack goalkeeping thing like we did this season, because obviously there was a plan going forward. So Henderson and De Gea, they're 2 top-class goalkeepers. They can play for 90% of their clubs in the world at their first choice goalkeeper. No one has that. It was never going to sustain itself. So I think,
you're right.
Yeah, so I think like
we were lucky in the sense of having Romero anyway, because he's widely regarded as the best number 2 goalkeeper anyway. Yeah. It does worry me that it's not so much the 4 cup competitions, but you never know what can happen. Henderson could come out the first game of next season and break his leg and be out for 7 months. You never know what can happen in football, and we do need to have that backup goalkeeper that not necessarily as good quality as him, but can take that spot, and we feel competent that spot will be okay for the coming months of an injury.
Yeah, I would say though, like if you look at any of our rivals, none of them have a second goalkeeper that is like Liverpool have Kelleher, who I think will be a top class goalkeeper.
We've got a lad called Bishop, haven't we?
Nathan Bishop. Yeah,
he's been on our bench a couple of times this season. So
he might be a bit too young, but I think like there's definitely a goalkeeper gone for free. In the summer that we can look at, bring in to be the second choice for 2 years, and then he can be promoted and all stuff like that. So I'm not really concerned. I think like the likelihood is, I think Henderson could play every game, because I just no matter when. But it never is training.
With the keepers going for free, we'll probably end up offering 75 million for anyway, just because it's our kind of club anyway. But
absolutely. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, Fred Woodward has Chelsea have Kepa. Sorry, that is my favorite second goalkeeper. 75 million for a reserve goalkeeper, and I just love that so much.
Rather have Lee Grant.
Yeah, I would rather have Lee Grant. The other question is, what goalkeeper will be willing to back up to Henderson? Maybe Sam John. No, he wouldn't. No young goalkeeper is going to come to us to be our second goalkeeper. The best we can get, and it's not a bad thing. The best we can do is go for like a Valdez or Romero, someone who's older, who's like, I'm kind of done what I want to do, want to just get a nice nest egg for when I retire. Give me 3 years. I'll sit in the bench. I'll come on whenever you need me. I'll be like basically another goalkeeping coach. I personally don't think we need someone challenging for the first choice. We just need someone who can, like Romero. I'm sorry, was never ever on the level of De Gea. He just was very good at playing against lower quality teams, and then whenever we needed him, that suited us, And then he became kind of a cult hero for that fact. But like, if he was playing for the entire season, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we were with having De Gea in. He was just a good cult hero.
You've got to remember, this is a position that very small amount of clubs find themselves in. We've had the luxury of having to, roundabout way, world-class keepers, and I think you're absolutely right, Joe. I don't think it's really, unfortunately, when you have two world-class keepers, you're right, it's just not sustainable. And obviously it will be a worry if you were to lose one of those players, but we've got one that can fit right in, no problem. And we'll just go through what we went through before. We'll have another number 2. We'll promote youth, as we always like to go on about, and they tend to do. And there shouldn't be any problems.
Yeah, I agree. We'll go bring back Ben Foster. So yeah, Ben Foster would be a great person. Ben Foster's 33, 34. England international, knows the club. If he's available, absolutely I'd take him back.
Yeah,
100%. You know, that's a great shout. That's a fantastic shout, Fred. Well done. We'll forgive you for your second name now, Fred, for that shout. But looking towards this game again on Thursday, we'll go with the starting lineup across the board. Is it Henderson? Oh, sorry, is it De Gea we're going for? Mark, go to you first.
I'd probably say De Gea,
Yeah.
I would say so.
Stuart?
Yeah, I'd say De Gea. Yeah.
Simon?
No, I think Henderson will stick and go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Controversial. Sorry.
I think if he throws De Gea back in now, it starts to raise the question again. And if De Gea plays very well, then I don't know. I just feel Henderson's going to stick and go.
No, okay, that's fair. And then are we going for? Well, are we looking at this being our strongest 11? First of all, are as close to it as possible.
Not completely strongest. I
don't think so.
Pella's over Shaw. I think we'll probably see Matic play. You know, just all those sort of fringe players will probably come in. I still think we'll be strong enough though. But,
okay, so right back is Wan-Bissaka because we have no one else. Left back, let's say. Left back, would we say Tellez?
Yeah. He wasn't even on the bench though on the weekend. I don't know if he has a problem.
Who, Tellez?
Yeah, he wasn't even on the
he's
bench.
all right.
So.
Yeah, he's
Is
fit.
he?
Yeah, he's fit.
I think we've only got 5 injuries. Rashford potentially 50%. Eric Bailly, Juan Mata, Phil Jones, and Martial. So everyone else is available.
Phil Jones isn't injured, is he? No, never. I'm not having that.
How can we survive without him?
A legend.
Yeah. So beside Maguire, I guess Lindelof then, or Tuanzebe, who seemingly has kind of fallen off the face of the earth.
I'm going Tuanzebe. I think it will be Tuanzebe next to Maguire.
I hope he plays Tuanzebe and Russell Lindelof. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then the three in midfield, I think Callum is right when saying Matic.
Yeah,
I think
Matic and Fred probably.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, that'll put the fear into the hearts. And then Bruno sitting in front of them.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I've gone completely different, actually.
What do you think?
I think McTominay will play.
Okay.
I think Van der Beek might start.
Oh, that's a good
Actually, yeah, you might be right.
And I just think that we haven't seen a lot of Fred and McTominay recently. Ollie loves that. Probably wants to shut up shop, and I think we'll see Fred, McTominay, and Van der Beek is my 3.
Oh, Van der Beek's a good shout. I must admit, I thought Matic would come in. I thought he might rest Fred for Sunday and put McTominay in.
Yeah. Sorry, just someone. People keep coming into this. I thought of signing Sam Johnson. Personally, very good goalkeeper, but we have to look past the fact that he's an ex-Red and look at the fact that he's a young goalkeeper who has dreams of playing for England, and he's not going to do that for being number 2 for United. If West Brom get relegated and he leaves, I hope he goes to goes to another Premier League club and has a great Premier League career. Like Ala Ben Foster, players like that. You want them to do the best and not just be. Unfortunately, as being a number 2, you're just not going to have the same advantages. So we don't need him. We don't need him, and we want him to have a good career. So as long as it doesn't do anything to hurt us, that'd be great. But Simon, who do you have in the 3 midfield?
I think it'll be Matic and McTominay, and I think Bruno and Van der Beek will both start because I think Rashford's injured. I think he's playing him through games where he shouldn't be really. Well, because out of necessity, but I think he can rest him for this one. But I think otherwise it will be as strong as possible because I think we've seen in the Europa League ties, Ole wants to hit them hard in the first leg. He likes to kind of get the tie dusted and hopefully rest players in the second leg. I know he didn't do that against Sociedad so much, but I do think that'll be his thinking. So I think it will be, yes, rotation, but still as strong as possible.
But in that, how are you fitting those 4? Is it I'm trying to put the formation in my head.
So when Van de Beek came on the weekend, Bruno pushed out left, and there has been a couple of games where Van de Beek started left. I think he might do that, as we will probably dominate the ball a lot. So you can have one of those kind of floating number 10s play out wide when you're dominating possession. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Callum, your 3 in midfield then, if you didn't say?
I don't know. I think with the injuries possible, you might not even do a 3 in the midfield. You might try and do 4, and then because I know Rashford might have a problem. Martial's obviously out, so we might just play an attacking wing back kind of thing and play 4 in midfield with Van der Beek and Fernandes, and then McTominay and Matic sit in. Maybe, I don't know, and then Greenwood and Cavani. I'll stick with what I originally said and go Matic, McTominay, and I think Bruno will play.
Bruno, cool. And then for the final, I know Stuart is going to do. Now this is a formation I like.
Everybody loves my formation. You see, they're just. Simon's actually spoke about my formation. Didn't realise he was doing it because what he was saying is by
the
playing,
diamond.
It is a diamond, but what you're talking about is a floating 2. Fernandes and Donny, you're talking about a floating 2 behind a central striker, and I think that's our most fluid and most attacking formation. Once we get the CDM sorted out, we get a proper CDM. That will give us a lot more. That will give teams an absolute nightmare to play against because of the quality we've got on the ball more than anything.
Yeah. But until then, let's try and be real. Who's our front 3, Mark? I'll go to you first. Who's our front 3?
I think Pogba will start up on the left, and I think Greenwood will start through the middle, and I think James will start on the right. Yeah,
and Stuart, I'm going to ask you to be as coherent as possible when you're saying our front 3 in the 4-3-3 we're playing is going to be. Okay, don't ever do that head movement again. Okay.
Yeah, Cavani, Greenwoods, and I think Pogba. I think he probably will play Pogba. I would rest Pogba if I'm being honest.
Well, I've seen a lot of comments.
I know I'll put James in there, but I think you're right, Mark. Actually, I think he probably would.
I've seen a lot of comments about Pogba, but he's been out for a while. He's been fit for a while. He played for France. He was good again. Really, he was pretty bright at the weekend. I think he'll start. I think he's got a very good chance of starting, and we see the best out of him as a flair player that everyone loves to see up on the top and the left. So I think he might start.
It's not a bad shot. Yeah,
Simon, for you, the front 3, or
If it's a 4-2-3-1, like I said, I think we could see Bruno or Van de Beek out left with Cavani up top and Greenwood right, but it could well be a diamond with Greenwood and Cavani up front, and then the 4 that I mentioned in making up the midfield diamond, and then use Telles particularly as a wing back on the left hand side if he's the one to play. Shaw can do it as well.
Yep, Callum, for you.
I think Mark's probably right, to be honest. I think you'll probably see Pogba on the left. I think he'll probably give Greenwood a go up front and then start Dan James on the right. See how that goes through the game, and if it isn't working, maybe bring Cavani on for Greenwood for James and move Greenwood over to the right.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Thank you, Callum.
It's
2+2.
And just before we finish off, I'll go to each one of you one by one. Tell us how you expect the game to be played out. What do you think the scoreline will be, and who our first goal scorer will be? So, Mark, go to you first.
As I always say, we need to start on the front foot.
Yeah.
I think it's always a benefit to play away first. And I think you're absolutely right. Whoever mentioned about really going for it in the first game, which I think we've seen Ollie do a few times, being away would be the perfect opportunity to do that. So I just, as I say every bloody week, sorry if I sound like a broken record, start the front foot. I think Greenwood, I think he's been particularly good recently, and I think that he's shown a lot more confidence, doing a lot more off the ball, being in the right positions. We saw that at the weekend, so I'd like to think that he scores first. And I'm going for a 2-0 win.
Cool. Stuart, going to you.
I think it'll be a cagey first 20. I'd like somebody to maybe Matic or whatever, put a cruncher in the first 5 minutes and lay a marker in the midfield. We need to see width. Obviously, we don't play with any natural width, but I'd like to see a bit of width, see if we can get in behind them. I'd like to see a couple of crosses going. I'd like to see us score a header, to be honest, a bit like Welbeck popped in on Sunday.
Didn't Greenwood score a header?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He did score a header.
Yeah,
Come
it
on,
kind of bounced off his head. Didn't want a real header, was it?
Shoot, you can't. You ask for something and then you get it, and you're not happy with it.
Wasn't an Andy Gray-esque diving header, was it, from the early 80s?
Jesus Christ!
You know? I do expect us to win, and I do expect us to keep a clean sheet. So 3-0.
And who's our first goal scorer? Did you say?
I'm gonna go for
anyone. Yeah, I'm trying to get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for I don't know, Dan James if he plays. Dan James.
Jesus Christ! There's only 11 players. You really struggle.
I know. Well, that's the problem with our striking at the minute, isn't it? If you think about it, it's hard to actually conceive who could score. So there you go.
Okay, Dan James.
I'm done.
Simon, on to you.
Yeah, like I said, I think it will be tight. I understand what the guys are saying about where Granada are, but it's more about us than them. When I was being a bit more pessimistic, I think we've got a lot of injury issues and a lot of players who aren't fully fit. So I just don't see us playing in fifth gear. But you guys have made me a little bit more optimistic. So I'm going to say 2-0 instead of 2-1. And I'm going to go for Cavani to get the first goal, probably a header goal.
Nice one. And Callum to see us out.
Well, on paper.
Jesus Christ.
No, we should batter Granada, so I'm going to go 3-0.
Perfect.
And I'll go Greenwood first goal, I think.
Nice and optimistic. But yeah, guys, that's been our show. Thanks so much for joining us. Please make sure to share this around to get as many eyes on it as possible. We'll be back Thursday evening for the post-match reaction with Kartik from, I don't know what time this game is at. Is it 5 to 6 or is it 8 o'clock? Let me just check now, actually.
8 o'clock, Joe.
It's 8 o'clock. So around 10 o'clock, join us back here to get the post-match reaction.
As well, Joel, there's a Q&A later on with Temi. I'm joining.
Oh, shite! Yes, it is. That's right.
Well,
I'm sure to watch that because I'm on there, and I'm sure you all would love to see that again.
Yeah. Get all your very inappropriate questions in. You've got 2 hours and 18 minutes to prepare the most awkward and annoying questions ever for Callum. So get them in, make them squirm. That's what we're here for. Take a lot. He just set the challenge. He set the challenge.
Go on, go for it. Fire away at me.
Beautiful. So make sure to join Temi, Callum, and I'm not sure who else is on, but make sure to join them. Are you on, Stu? You tend to be on everything.
No, no, my missus will shoot me if I'm on that as well. I'll be dead.
That's fair. And we need you for future shows.
The good thing is you won't want me on Wall of Reds anymore. So
we've got me. Yes. James, I think, and Jeff.
Jeff, yeah, it'd be a good. It's a good panel, actually. That. Good panel.
Okay, all right, yeah, there's a good panel here too, Stu. Okay, but that's
fine. Yeah,
all right. Wow. Okay. Someone might say I'm saying better. Simon is so offended down there he had to mute himself so you can't hear him cry. Really? Okay. So we're
great panel here.
I'm on both panels, so it makes no difference.
You're literally on the fence. So yeah, join Callum and Temi on the lads from 10 o'clock tonight. Make sure to tune in for that, and join us back here for the weekend, where for the post match of the Spurs game, and also for Women's Weekly as well, which I think is tomorrow. But subscribe to the channel, share it around, so you don't miss anything. And Europa League quarter semi-final, here we come.
Quarter-final, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, see you later, guys.
See you guys.